Hammurabi is a stranger to most Americans, but he shouldn't be. This ancient historical figure can be found on the south wall of the U.S. Supreme Court and in a marble portrait over the gallery doors of the U.S. House of Representatives in the United States Capitol. Hammurabi can be found where a nation's laws are written and judged because he was one of the first to establish the rights and responsibilities of a community. For the first time in human history, laws were placed in stone. They were available for all to see and would take a Herculean effort to change them. While the Constitution is not written in stone, the basic rights of Americans are very difficult to change. Hammurabi's influence of making the laws of the land public is still felt today throughout the United States and beyond. This ancient ruler created a set of laws known today as Hammurabi's Code. It was organized into 4 themes: agriculture, family life, theft, and professional standards, which included the medical field and building codes.
Modern law is partially based on the Magna Carta in England, which was signed in 1215. And that's partially based on Roman law. And that's what English law today is based on. So ultimately, our modern laws partially go back at least as far as Rome. But in some ways, elements go back to Hammurabi and before.
Hammurabi's Code gives us a window to study our ancient past. The code spells out the rights and responsibilities of those who built, farmed, and traded goods. Babylon was a busy, bustling, urban area, and the code stabilized the entire society. Its population of approximately 65,000 was very diverse, and its social structure included the very rich and the very poor. Kings and priests had the most wealth and the most political power. At a lower level were traders and craftsmen. Below them were the farmers, and the group with the least amount of influence were the slaves. There are many different tribes under Hammurabi's command, and each tribe came with its own set of rules and cultural mores. Hammurabi's goal was to form a unified set of laws for this diverse group of people. Almost 4,000 years ago, Hammurabi was the 6th king of Babylon. For 40 years, he built an empire by isolating his opponents and then conquering them. Eventually, Hammurabi controlled the massive area that linked the Red Sea with the Persian Gulf. While Hammurabi's Code didn't solve the problems of inequality, it did put in stone the rights and responsibilities of an entire community. People needed to know what was right and what was wrong. More importantly, the laws were no longer exposed to the temperamental moods of the day because they are now etched in stone. Hammurabi's Code was carved in what archaeologists call steles. These 4-ton pieces of stone are 2 meters tall and are in the shape of an index finger. The steles were placed in the center of communities throughout Babylon, but today only one is intact. It currently sits in the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. Since receiving a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Miami of Ohio, Richard S. Brown has spent the majority of his career reviewing laws and codes. Since 1978, he's been on the Wisconsin State Court of Appeals and is a member of the Administration of Justice Committee. Judge Brown says Hammurabi's Code was one of the first documents to establish the rights and responsibilities of the powerful and the powerless, issues he judges on a daily basis.
Your responsibility is to your neighbors, to your parents, to your grandchildren, to your sons and daughters, to your slaves. You have a responsibility towards them. But you also have a right to treat slaves in a certain manner. You have a right to treat your wife in a certain manner. You have a right to treat your sons in a certain manner and give your sons more money than you would give to another. You have this right. And our perception of rights has changed considerably since Hammurabi. but they were trying to establish a system of rights and responsibilities just like we do today.
The current debate about employers paying their employees a living wage goes all the way back to ancient times in Hammurabi. His code states that a builder has the right to be paid at least 2 shekels per house, and a field worker has the right to earn 8 gur per year, which equaled 96 shekels. This clearly states the responsibilities of an employer and the rights of an employee. Ideas we still debate today. It would be foolish to think that Hammurabi's code is filled with nothing but perks and prosperity. It includes barbaric punishments. For example, Law 195 states, if a son strike his father, his hand shall be cut off. And Law 197 states, if a man breaks another's bone, his bone shall be broken. However, it is among the first documents to put forth the concept of innocent until proven guilty, a bedrock value of our judicial system. For example, Law number 3 states, if anyone bring an accusation of any crime before the elders and does not prove what he is charged, he shall, if it be a capital offense charged, be put to death. For the first time, the burden of proof is placed on the accuser. This clearly states the rights and responsibilities of the accused and the accuser. The code also includes protections for the weak and poor. In fact, in the epilogue, it states, Hammurabi, the protecting king I am, that the strong might not injure the weak, in order to protect the widows and orphans.
Because it is such an important piece of history and a very early piece of judicial history, legal history, they're put in there as the beginning of a process. They're trying to show that a sense of laws and laws to govern a complex culture go back all the way to antiquity. And this isn't something we just invented because we live in America and we're a democracy. It's not something that we've invented all of a sudden 200 years ago in the 1700s. It's something that goes back throughout human history, and it's got a long foundation.
The debate about rights and responsibilities goes back thousands of years. The Constitution attempts to balance the rights and responsibilities of an individual, a balance that is debated every year. Did Hammurabi's code give rights? Did it take rights? It really depends on your perspective. If you're a slave or a woman, it definitely took rights. But if you're a successful farmer, it probably gave rights. While it didn't allow equal rights for slaves and women, it did protect the weak. An example is Law 148, which clearly states if a man has married a wife and a disease has seized her, if he is determined to marry a second wife, he shall marry her. He shall not divorce the wife whom the disease has seized, and she shall dwell in the house they have built together, and he shall maintain her as long as she lives. Our political leaders honor Hammurabi in our nation's capital and in the U.S. Supreme Court because the code he created connects to America's constitutional ideals. Laws today may not be chiseled in stone, but their creation takes time, and they are written down for all to see. The idea of gaining the trust of people by spelling out their rights and responsibilities didn't begin in the United States of America when the law of the land was ratified. Before the U.S. Constitution was created, there were the Articles of Confederation. Before that, there is the Magna Carta, the 12 Tables of the Roman Law, and Athenian democracy. Our Constitution was built on these well-known ancient ideals. But what many don't know is that those ideals of rights and responsibilities were built on the foundation of Hammurabi's code. These rights and responsibilities, who some take for granted today, have deep roots in our ancient past. That's why Hammurabi can be found in the U.S. Supreme Court and in our nation's capital.